Hi, my name is Justin LaRosa. I'm the author of the Jesus Challenge, 21 Days of Loving God and Neighbor. I'm one of the ministers at Hyde Park United Methodist Church and the director of the Portico, which is the downtown campus. I'm so grateful to be with you on this journey as we explore the greatest commandment and what it means to love God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love our neighbor as ourselves. Is there anything in the world less desirable than Jesus' call to love your enemy? I don't think so. I think it may be the hardest part of the gospel. But Jesus calls us in Luke and in Matthew to love our enemy, to not hate our neighbor. Jesus calls us to forgive others just like God has forgiven us. A lack of forgiveness weighs us down. It's like a ship that has way too much cargo that pushes down the ship and almost makes it sink. Releasing and loving our enemies and figuring out ways to do so lightens the load. It brings things up to the surface so we can throw it overboard and we can live lighter and we can love more deeply. You know, there are many different postures, many reasons why people don't forgive. They've been hurt so deeply. They hold on to anger. They've been legitimately hurt by the people they love or the people around them at work or in the world. One, and these people are lucky, are those, I don't have anybody to forgive. There's no one in my life that I need to forgive. And we call that, you're either very, very fortunate or you're blind and don't see the people who you might need to forgive. Another posture towards forgiveness is just downright rejecting, just saying, you know what, I can't do it. I can't do it. They've hurt me too bad. They've hurt my family. They've hurt the world too much for me to forgive them. Another posture is slightly different from rejection. It's they know that they're called to love their enemy, but they just don't know how. And so the critical difference between the previous one and this one is willingness. We're willing to forgive, but we just don't know how. How do we forgive those who have hurt us? And the last posture of forgiveness is one where perhaps we forgive too quickly. We go back in these patterns of relationships and get hurt over and over and over again. Relationships that are unhealthy, so they forgive, but they're not transformed. Because forgiving doesn't always mean reconciliation of relationship. It means letting go of the weight or the pattern of unhealthiness that weighs us down. A first step in forgiveness is just deciding, no matter what posture you take, whether you're rejecting, you can even invite God into that and say, God, I don't want to forgive this person, but I want to invite you into my unwillingness. That's a step towards forgiveness. That's a decision. So the first step is to decide. After you decide that you're going to forgive, that you're going to follow Jesus down this difficult road, the next step is to really take an inventory, is to look at the who and the why and what it affects in us. And then the hard work of examining what might be our part. We ask ourselves, what are we really afraid of? What is it that we're scared of about these people or these groups or these things that have hurt us or others? In chapter 3, there's an exercise for you that will help you do an inventory, that look at the weight that is holding you down. And doing that inventory and examining it and letting it go and confessing it to God and perhaps another person will lighten your load so that you can love. The difficult call to love our enemies does a couple of things. Number one, it reminds and shows the world Jesus. Everybody can love people closest to them, but loving your enemies is this Jesus way kind of love. It teaches us how to be love practitioners and reconciles us back to God. It says all throughout the scripture, if we don't show mercy and we don't forgive, we cut ourselves off from forgiveness. And loving our enemies connects us back to not only God, but in some circumstances, to the people who have hurt us. Like a bridge, it bridges a gap of resentment and hurt and anger. And Jesus tells us that we must be merciful to others because God is so merciful to us. While that won't always mean reconciled relationships, what it will mean is a connection to God and a connection to others in new ways. And when we decide not to forgive, or that we don't know how, or we aren't willing to embark on the journey, we cut ourselves off from that forgiveness and that love. When we forgive, we unlock this grace that God gives us. God has forgiven you and me. And if we withhold forgiveness towards others, it's like we're standing on the opposite side of the bridge. Forgiving and choosing and deciding and examining connects us more deeply to God, and in some cases reconciles us to our enemy, and in other cases allows us to walk free with it in our past, where it's no longer weighting us down. Yes, our innermost being tells us, don't do it, don't forgive. But God, Jesus Christ, calls us to love God and love our neighbor and love our enemies, so we can walk in the ways that lead to life, that lead to love. And so do the hard work to decide, no matter where you are with the people who have hurt you, decide to forgive. Look at the things that are weighing you down and invite God in to transform you. Because not only will God transform you through it, God will transform the world.